Okay, the stock market is closed for Independence Day on July 4th. Bitcoin is still open 24/7. It just closed moments ago. The stock market had closed on Thursday with an abbreviated session. Trump administration announced that the tariff letters for the rates that the countries would be paying would be going out, the tariff letters, about 10 to 12 each day over the next several days. And again, administration waited until after the stock market had closed to say this. This very well could be part of the catalyst, give us volatility. We also can see with the signing of the big beautiful bill, we also could see that possibly be a sell the news event if it ends up rattling the yields, and I've talked about that at great length and detail. Again, I told you there could be several different catalysts, a combination of things, but this very well could be part of it. Trump is saying that he'll raise tariffs some countries up to 60 or 70%. Talked about the higher end at 60 or 70%, the lower end at 10 to 12. Remember, when Trump paused the reciprocal tariffs, he made that baseline amount of 10%. Countries that don't have a deal are now going to be getting told what they're going to pay. Now, still negotiations going on. What happens with all of this and how it unfolds. On April 11th, we had that 3-month pause. Did I say April 9th? April 9th. 3-month pause, and that is coming up here July 9th. See how all of this unfolds. Now, these tariff letters that are being sent out, they're supposed to kick in on August 1st. Watching to see how all of this unfolds. We saw talks with Japan fall apart. Same thing with Canada, and then Trump, or actually Canada threatened these new taxes on tech companies, tariffs, I should say, on tech companies. Trump said, okay, we're tearing up all negotiations and we'll tell you what your tariff rate's going to be. And immediately cave. So we'll see what happens with all of this, but this very well could be part of the catalyst, maybe the catalyst, the sell-off for the stock market. Remember, Bitcoin already peaked on May 22nd and is probably going to test the low, and good chance it still takes it out. I'll show you both scenarios, the higher low or the lower low scenario with Bitcoin. Trump administration announced this after the stock market closed. Bitcoin had a negative reaction to it. To show you the sell signal that is forming with Bitcoin. Try to be brief. Again, I know everybody in the United States is busy celebrating Independence Day, and happy Independence Day to everybody out there in the United States. Again, I wanted to let everybody know because I've got people in a lot of different countries watching, and to let you know about the signal. So we'll be watching to see if this ends up rattling markets next week. My guess is, again, that we're seeing the stock market getting ready to top, and it may have topped. We had futures get a negative reaction to this. Friday, they trade briefly in an abbreviated session. They will reopen on Sunday, along with Bitcoin futures, and we'll be watching. 13 days ago, I warned you about the bottoming signal on June 22nd. On that Sunday, I warned you that, again, we were going to get a bounce. I told you we could get a counter trend rally or maybe a bottom if an ABC move is done. That's still possible if we get a higher low. I still think that the door is open to getting a lower low for a larger corrective move. We've had a 50% rally since I called the day of the bottom. Might need more time to digest those gains before going higher. And again, I posted on X, formerly Twitter, last week, all Trump is going to do is come out and say the word tariff at some point, and the stock market and the Bitcoins are going to end up going down. And I think that's what we have with the announcement. We knew several weeks ago that these tariff letters were coming. The Trump administration announced it several weeks ago. It would be coming in a few weeks. Here it is. We had a sell signal, big signal for momentum. We had it yesterday, but it got canceled out. Did that on X. And then morning, I posted that we got another sell signal, and again, that could be completed here by the close. It did. It complete. So we now have the sell signal. And before, we ended up selling off about 1.5%. We were down more than that at the lows, about 2% there. At the lows, before the selling ever began, the signal showed up right at the open of the session, but it's not finalized until the very close of the session. That's why I'm making the video for you right now here on the 4th of July, Independence Day, because I want you to know the signal that has taken place. I told you this signal when it happened. I posted it on X, and then that very next morning I posted it in a video. I try to let you know when these things happen. It marked the top over here, but I told you I didn't know if that would be a top or a correction. The bottom, mark the tops over here. Again, programmed my signals to tell me when price gets tired, when momentum is about to shift. And it does a very good job of doing that, but it doesn't tell me if it's a top or bottom. Now, down here, I told you we were bottoming because of 74,000, your support with Bitcoin signals that I was talking about. That's why I call the very day of the bottom. I had a lot of signals, like right here, that marked the very day of the bottom. Rejection at the resistance zone right here. And again, I think you're either going back to test this high for a higher low or a lower low to get a deeper retracement going into probably between 87,000 and 93,000 if we get that lower low scenario. I think it's likely because the stock market making new highs and is already sold off, just like in January. When it peaked before the market, later on the market peaked in February. Well, Bitcoin had already been the leader of the pack and had already peaked and started going lower. And that's what we've seen right here. So I think we're probably going to get another push down. We'll see if we can get a higher low or not. My guess is that we're at risk of getting that lower low. But I wanted to make you aware of the signal. It's telling me, just as I told you back on June 22nd, we are going to get a bounce. I'm telling you we're going to get a sell-off. It's telling me we're either going to get a pullback or we're going to get a bigger sell-off, continuing the reversal that we started over there. Now, in order to turn all of this around, Bitcoin has to be able to clear the resistance zone up here. We're getting rejection at the resistance zone. We had an attempted breakout of the bull flag that is failing, at least so far. But you got to be able to clear the resistance zone and be able to get back above the ribbon here. And again, we're not able to do that. We've come back up to the ribbon and we're getting rejection. You got a topping tail on Thursday there at the ribbon, the lower end of the ribbon. So again, you've got red going on here. We broke the ribbon. You've got red. You're rallying back up to it. You still got red. Everything's on sale. If we're going to turn it around, you got to have a legitimate breakout and be able to clear the resistance zone and be able to clear the ribbon. As the bears are still in control. This is the same thing that happened back over here with the December peak. We saw things turn bearish. We went back up to the ribbon, got a topping tail at it, got rejection in January at it. Bars remained red, and again, we saw the self. It wasn't until we got back above the ribbon, we saw the bars turn back to blue, that we turned this thing around. Signals nailed the bottom. So I'm just telling you, this has to happen. We're going to resume the advance. Otherwise, the risk is that we come back and we test this low for a higher low, or that we take it out. I gave you these bottoming signals. I had several of them happen on June 22nd, Sunday, June 22nd. Had another one happen on 23rd, the next day on Monday. There are likely counter trends unless we can turn this around. Going back and forth right here. You got bars still, but the cloud is turning back to red. Signals have been mixed. We've been going back and forth from bullish to bearish. We tagged the upper Bollinger Band here, and we're turning down off of it at the moment. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel today. I thank you for your consideration for that. Again, I've got some signals that are bullish. Other signals are bearish. We're going back and forth. This is telling you that we're going sideways. Consolidating for a breakout upward or consolidating for another push downward. Sideways in a short-term topping process. One or the other. Okay, mathematically based indicators. If you know the future, oh, then you certainly don't need me. But unfortunately, I'm human and you are human, and we have to get support and resistance levels, trend lines, and mathematically based indicators to try to put probability on our side. And right now we're going sideways. So again, we'll get more volatility, and we're getting the signal I'm showing you in this video. They will pull back and we'll get a higher low and they go much higher. Long-term bullish on Bitcoin. I think it will likely top later this year, probably somewhere between 150,000 or 75, maybe as high as 180 or 85, 90,000. 90,000, something like that. But it reaches the trend line that I've talked about. If you watch my videos, you know the trend line I'm talking about. I have realistic expectations up to the levels I'm talking about. The herd is going to be going, no, the rally's just getting started. And I'm telling you, these people are going to ride Bitcoin all the way back down. That's what they do. Do not be one of these people. We'll get up there. They'll have a massive gain on paper. They won't lock in those gains. End up riding this thing all the way back down. Boys will tell them, oh no, we're going to be at 3 million before the year ends. And these people are gullible. They'll believe it. I have a lot of great indicators, but my best indicator is the herd. Just do the opposite of the herd and you'll be right most of the time. Got to be able to clear the resistance zone and be able to clear the cloud here, the upper boundary of the cloud, and flip the cloud back to green. We got rejection at the upper boundary of the cloud here. We got rejection at the resistance zone. So again, got to be able to clear this resistance zone area if we're going to turn it around for Bitcoin. Now, this is a fake breakout until proven otherwise with our bull flag pattern. I told you as we were rallying, we were going to turn off one of these trend lines, this one, including the shadows, pointing up towards about 114,000. We didn't reach that level, or the one here, excluding, which was at 111,000. We overthrew that trend line at 100 and hit 112,000, and then we turned down off of it. So here we are. The possibility of an inverse head and shoulders here, and let me just pull this up so you can see the head formation here. The right shoulder could be done with this mild pullback, or again, we could see a bigger drop deeper into high 80s near 87,000, or the confirmation 88,500 for the double bottom, or the low 90,000 range, 91, 92, 93,000 or something like that. We do sell off further. Again, I've seen boy now say, oh, we have an inverse head and shoulders pattern. These are the people that told us we were never going to sell off. And again, when we broke out right here, it's a breakout, here we go. And I mean, these people absolutely love to buy tops. It is their hobby, and they panic sell at bottoms. If we get another dump, you're going to hear, in all likelihood, all the moon boys talk about this pattern. You see, I predict things before they happen. The moon boys predict things after they happen. That's the difference. They never see these things because they only believe Bitcoin goes up. So when it does go down and forms these patterns, then they light bulb go off over their head and go, oh. You see, I'm a trader and I really don't care which way Bitcoin goes, up or down. I trade it both ways. I was looking for topping patterns or bottoming patterns, the double bottom pattern or this larger inverse head and shoulders. I really don't care which way Bitcoin goes. I trade it both ways. If you're a moon boy, or somebody in the herd that just thinks Bitcoin goes up, and most of them do. Most of them think Bitcoin can go down. You don't see this stuff, and you become biased, and you can't be objective. Speaking of which, we just had another billionaire say, "Oh, Bitcoin's going to 850,000." Recently, we had I think it was Eric Trump saying it was going to go to 1 million. These other billionaires or well-known people saying, oh, Bitcoin is going to go to 1 million, it's going to do this. We had CNBC's so-called expert tell us it's going to go to 3 million. Bitcoin's probably going to go up to the trend line I'm talking about. It's at 150,000, maybe it's a little bit higher at 175, 180, 190,000, but it's going to hit that trend line. And when it does, of the channel, Bitcoin's likely going to top out. And these whales and these billionaires that are saying, oh, it's going to go to 1 million, it's going to go to 3 million. The expert, he's going to ride it all the way back down. He always does, because he's a perma bull. The professional traders, the whales and the institutions, the Black Rocks, and these, they're going to be selling at where I'm telling you, they're going to say that for the herd, oh, it's going to go to 1 million, 100,000, 800,000. Now we're getting their billionaires saying 800 and was it 25,000 or whatever. I'm telling you, these people are going to be selling into the rally, much lower levels, just to get the herd all hyped up, be selling to the herd at the top, and the herd is going to hold the bag and ride this thing all the way back down. That's what always happens. Be one of those people. Again, I think we get a pullback. I think Bitcoin's going much, much higher. But as I've said, I've been predicting that it would get a correction here to digest the gains from when I called the very day of the bottom. Been making some absolutely amazing calls on Bitcoin. And again, don't fall the channel, you're going to see things you're not going to see anywhere else. You're going to see indicators you're not going to see anywhere else. I create my own indicators and it's mathematically based programs to try to tell me what's going on with Bitcoin. Created some pretty amazing indicators. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you really should. If you don't watch one, and I'm going to be shorter today, but if you don't watch one or two videos, you're not going to see my indicators because I have several and I don't show every single indicator in every video, but you're going to be pretty amazed at what you see. And they pretty much tell me what's going on. Right now, they're telling me we're going sideways. We're still at risk of another dump, so we'll be watching. Stochastic's rolling over here. A little tiny diversions with price. We went higher up into the resistance zone and got rejection there. MACD is still positive. If it rolls over and goes negative, we'll get a bigger dump, form a divergence though, and get a higher low and still take out this low, moving towards our 200 period moving average, which again is likely. Talking about two scenarios, and I told you over here, we've likely completed the wave one higher. That's that 50% rally off of the bottom. And I told you, I think we have a complex correction. Maybe it's done here. This is the bullish scenario. This scenario says we just got a mild pullback and it's done. I think it's less likely, and I'll tell you why. Because the stock market is making new highs, probably about to sell off, meaning we're probably going to get more volatility with Bitcoin. Now, we may get a higher low. That's certainly possible. I think the other scenario is more likely, but I am very open-minded to the bottom being right here. Here, this scenario says we've completed one. We have a W, a complex correction for W, X, and then Y, and it's now done. And we have a complex correction. It's over, and we have now a 5-leg push higher, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're now getting an ABC in what is likely an expanded flat, which would be an A question mark there, or 2 is done. If the expanded flat scenario would be A, B, and then C. And then we come down here, we get a higher low. So that is the scenario saying, hey, we bottomed out, we've got the wave one, and maybe we're getting an expanded flat here for wave two. Possible wave two is done here if we get a higher low above this low right here. But if we go lower, this scenario would be that we have the wave two down over here for a larger ABC corrective move. So that scenario says, hey, we're still going to correct, but we're going to get a higher low, and the bottom is in with Bitcoin. We're getting the divergences here. This divergence gave us this sell-off, this larger divergence is giving us this sell-off right here. So I think this is, if the resistance zone holds, you can see here that we've got rejection here at the resistance zone. That is our bullish scenario that we've bottomed, and we're now getting wave one and wave two, and then we're going to go on our way. Wave two down here is done. We've got wave one and wave two of our larger counts, and we're now in the wave three, and these are the first couple waves of that wave three. Here is the bearish scenario, and that is that we're not done with sell-off, and the bottom is not in, and I have this marked as a W, wave one completing here, WX, and starting a larger complex correction for Y, and that we have a W, X, and a Y, and we get Y here, and we complete the larger WXY pattern here. The Y in the complex correction has its own WXY pattern, completing wave two. So that's what I think is more likely. We're seeing the 50 above the 200, get back below it, back above the 200, back below it, back above it. And again, if we drop back down, again, we could see it cross right back below it. Again, just telling us we're going sideways. But I think Bitcoin's going to bottom, whether here or down here somewhere in the 90s or 80s. Somebody told me it had to get reset down to 70. If we take out 74,000, that's not good because that means the bull run is over. I don't think we're going that low, but I do think that we're digesting the gain of 50%. I think it might take some more time. Stock market is barely peaking right now. We might see Bitcoin still get one more leg down. They might bottom together, or Bitcoin might bottom early if it's bottomed here, but Trump is going to scare the market some more with tariffs. We're probably going to see Bitcoin join in and get another leg down. So this is what I think is going on in all likelihood. You can see right here, the CD has completed this negative divergence, and very similar to the divergence we had over here at the peak. And if it goes negative here in the 4-hour time frame, a bigger sell-off, especially if we take out the 200 period, the black line right there, and the cloud. Now, Bitcoin may flirt. Listen carefully. Are you listening? Are you really listening? Bitcoin may flirt with this area some more and pop back up. We're trading on very light volume right now during the Independence Day holiday weekend here. We're even getting this breakout that now looks like it's a fake out. So those are the two scenarios that I think are in play. There's alternatives that I have. I'm not going to go into right now, but there you can count the WXY differently. I think that pattern might play out. I'll show you that in the near future. Tempted to get a breakout, but if you've been following along, I told you we have to clear the resistance zone, and we were unable. We got rejection. We were unable to do that. We got rejection at the resistance zone from these prior peaks. You not only had to break out for a bull flag, but you had to clear the resistance zone. We weren't able to do it. Again, the Moon Boys heard it's a breakout. The same nonsense that they always do. I called the bottom, and we had the breakout here. They said, oh, no, the bears were telling us, no, it's a bear market rally. And the herd was saying, yeah. Get bullish until we were towards the top here. Right about here when we started going higher. Then they started to turn it back to bullish. They weren't bullish down here when I was calling a double bottom. They weren't bullish here when I was calling the breakout of the trend line. They weren't bullish here when I was calling the breakout of the double bottom. No, it's still a bear market rally. We're still going to crash. It's canceled and all the rest of it. At the top, they get extremely bullish. It's a breakout. And the Moon Boys start, we got a breakout. They ignored my breakouts down here. They ignored my bottom, my double bottom signal, and my bounce off key support. But boy, they sure get bullish up here, man. Day before the top, that's when I was selling into the rally, if you have been following along. Went back and then sold again. The lower high over here. Went short, and by the way, I am still short. I told you this could be a bottom if we can see evidence of that, if we can get a breakout, if we can clear the resistance zone up here. But we got rejection right at the resistance zone. Right here, the herd, it's a breakout, and it was a fake out. Over here, it's a breakout, and it's a fake out. Still am short-term bearish on Bitcoin until I see evidence of a bottom, and very bullish at the bottom here, and I called the very day of the bottom, predicted the rally to new highs. We rallied up 50%. I was correct. Sold into the rally, but then bought it back right here, hoping we would go up and get one more push up to 114,000. I told you possible. Again, I had a target level of this level, which was at our trend line, and just above that, we didn't reach it, the lower high, and so we started to sell off. So I told you, seeing evidence that the peak was in here, and so I sold the position and went short, predicting another lower high right here with this bar. So lower, we've come back up, we've moved up just above that area. Again, I told you if we're going to go higher, we got to be able to clear the resistance zone and get a breakout here. We tried to break out. It was a fake out, at least so far, because we still come down to the 200 period near the 38.2 Fibonacci near 95,800. If we take that out, get your 50% retracement at the 91,000 area. There is a gap fill area with the Bitcoin futures near that area. Again, you can see the deeper retracements down here. I don't think we get a deeper retracement, but I think we're still at risk of getting a deeper Fibonacci area, Fibonacci retracement to the 38.2 or the 50% retracement. If we take out the 50-period moving average, signals all turn bearish. Signals, as you know, have been mixed. That's telling us that we are going sideways, which is exactly what we have been doing. Again, you may not like that. Bitcoin doesn't care what you like, but the indicators are telling you Bitcoin is doing, and that is, it's trendless. It is going sideways. Probably get another push down and then see Bitcoin bottom. It could get a higher low. This still could be a bottom. I'm open-minded to that. Trader, I am long on Bitcoin. I go short on Bitcoin. I go back and forth. I'm holding a long-term position on Bitcoin from the low. Will go on for several more months. Also trading Bitcoin, and again, I remain short right now. Close my long position, capturing most of these gains. The legitimate evidence that Bitcoin is turning back to bullish. I will turn back to bullish. I think we're getting a pullback, and then we're going to go higher. I think we're getting a wave two. Maybe it's done here. I'm open-minded to that. It still may be a larger complex corrective move and go lower. I predicted the bottom at 74,000. I told you 74,000 would likely be the bottom. I told you we might go down to like 71 or 72 and then bounce to get right back above 74,000, but I told you 74,000 had a good shot at being a bottom. It was, and I called the very day of the bottom because, again, as you know, several of my signals triggered that day and before the rally ever happened. Here, I told you this could be a top, but we still might go to 114,000. I was wrong about the 114,000, but I have the guts to tell you what I think. Change. I'm a trader. I change. When the evidence... something, I change my mind. That's called being a good trader. I say here, demand that Bitcoin go to 114,000 and do what I demand it does. Bitcoin tells me what it's doing. My indicators tell me that. Tell Bitcoin what to do. You don't follow along every day. You don't know unless you pay attention and follow work. I can be bullish and right back to bearish. I was bullish at the bottom, bullish all the way up, sold into rally, looking for a top, and then here I was looking for possibly one more push higher. I was wrong about that. Flipped back to bearish here, sold those long positions, went short, and I remained short. I told you we were going to get a bounce. I thought it'd be a counter trend. So far, it's a counter trend, possibly a false breakout. We'll be watching. See evidence that Bitcoin gets a legitimate breakout and clears the resistance zone. Stopped out of my short. Will likely change my opinion back to bullish. I am a trader. My core position, I'm doing nothing, ignoring short-term price fluctuations. With my swing trading, I tried to play wave one. I think I did a good job of doing that. Wave two has been a little bit more tricky, in my opinion. Maybe it's done, maybe it's not, but I'm still short trying to play this move. Clear the resistance zone, I will be stopped out, go down, close my position, and flip back to long if we go down to one of these Fibonacci levels. And again, I think we're likely headed back to the 200 period moving average, probably for a larger corrective move. Why I'm playing it? I can always be right, but I have the guts to tell you what I think. And I have very good indicators that help me stay on the right side of the trade. And indicators are often right most of the time. My indicators proven to be correct 97.1% of the time.